Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Timmy, and in today's video guys, we are going to be learning how to draft an underbust corset. So now, this video is actually going to be in two parts. So this is going to be the first part where we are going to be learning how to draft the basic bodice. Then the B part is going to be showing you how you can alter the full scale bodice to your underbust corset. So if this is something you would love to know how to make, so guys, stay tuned and let's get this started, okay? So now the first thing you need your measurement, all your measurements, the back, the armpit, the bust, the waist, all the measurements listed on the screen. You need all those measurements. So now once you get the measurements, then you can now come back and let's go ahead with this. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to work with the back measurement. I have my measurement written on this paper, so that is why it is beside me. So the back I'm working with is actually 14. So I'm going to go ahead and divide my 14 by 2 and add half inch to it. The back measurement is 14, then divide by 2 is 7 plus half. We have 7.5, which I'm going to mark. Now for the shoulder slant, we are simply going to come down by 1 inch at this point. Then now looking at the body I'm working with, it will be wrong for me to use 3 inches as the neck point, because the neck point is not the same thing for all body sizes or body shapes. No, it isn't. So for the person I'm working with now, our neck point is 2.5. So I'm going to mark that. Then I'm going to connect the 1 inch point now to the neck point. Now this is my shoulder point and this is the neck point. You then go ahead and you connect it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and get my armpit line. Now to do that, your armpit circumference, when you're measuring your armpit circumference, you want to make sure that it is not too tight. Now the what I have here is 15, and I'm going to go ahead divide it by 2, 7.5. You want to go ahead and extend it all the way. So you can actually go ahead and extend it all the way the paper. Once you do that, you just go ahead and extend it out. And now to get the armpit line, whatsoever you have from your center front to your shoulder point, which is 7.5, you want to bring it down here so that you have an accurate straight line, because this straight line is going to help in shaping your armhole. That is if you are going to be making a top with this same pattern. So this is what we have now. Then we can now go ahead, get your waistline. The waistline I'm working with is 15. Just do 15.5. I'm extending it because of the back. So that is why I'm extending it out of my range. Now, the next thing is going to be to measure the top length. So my top length is 22. I'm just going to add 1 inch and go ahead with 23. So, and even if you don't add anything, you are still on track. Now, once we have all the lines ready, the next thing we want to start doing is to place our measurement. Place the shoulder to bust point is 9 inches. So I'm just going to measure the 9 inches. Then I'm going to come here and measure the 9 inches as well. Then the shoulder to under bust is 12. So I'm going to come here and measure the 12. I'm going to come here and measure my 12 inches. So these are going to help, and at the same time, they are also going to serve as a guideline for us. So, and I'm going to just connect it all the way. Okay. Now, the next thing, you can label them. This is the true bust line. This is the under bust line. This is the waist line, and this is the top line or the M line, anyone. So now the top line, TL. Now The next thing is going to be to place our measurement. Now the bust measurement is 34, we need to divide it by 4. And when we divide 34 by 4, we are going to have 8 and a half. So I'm going to measure my 8 and a half and mark the point. Another one is the waist circumference, which is 26 divided by 4, we have 6 and a half. Then the hip circumference, which is 36, then divided by 4, we have 9. So, and once we do so, we can just go ahead and connect these points together. So at this point, you want to slightly blend it, just so it doesn't come out being too pointy. Now, once we are done with that, the next thing we want to do now is to place our dart. So now, for the dart, you can use, you know how we do this place. Whatever you have here, you further divide it by 2. Then you mark half inch to the left, half inch to the right, and you can as well work with the nipple to nipple distance. That's the bust span. So the bust span here is 7. So I'm just going to divide it by 2, which is 3.5. So I'll mark my 3.5. This is it here. I'll mark it on the waistline. I'll mark it also on my top line. I'll also mark it on my true bust line. That's the 3.5. Note that I mark it on the top line, on the waistline. You can mark it on the under bust line and on the true bust line. So the 3.5, that is the nipple to nipple distance, divided by 2 must stop on your true bust line or your bust point, or bust, anyone you call yours. So it must stop there. So and once we do so, we go ahead, connect it together. Now, once we do so, the next thing is going to be for us to work with our shoulder measurement. How do we get that? You are going to measure, this is the shoulder point, this is the neck point. From the shoulder point to the neck point, you measure what you have here. I have a total of 5 inches here. So, I have a total of 5 1/4. So whatever I have here, I'm going to go ahead and divide it by 2. So my 5 1/4 divided by 2 is going to be 258, and this is the point here. So once I do so, I'm going to go ahead and connect it to my true bust line. That is that for that. Now the next thing you want to do is to take in the dart. The normal dart we take at the waistline is half to the left, half to the right. So for this place, you can do half, you can do up to 1 inches. It depends on how much you want this place to be contoured. So I'm just going to go with 3/4 to the left and 3/4 to the right. So and I'll connect. Then from your true bust line, you come up by 1 inch. Then from it, you come down by 1 inch and you go up by 1 inch. You come down by 1 inch, you go up also by 1 inch. That is because your dart must not get to this point. You don't need that at the bust level. You don't need that there. So once you do so, you can then go ahead. So I'm just making a full version of this for those that may decide to work with a classic style line. You can use this to sew it up or whatsoever. So now this is what we have. This is the 1 inch point here. So now this is the half-inch point. Now, in order to make the underbust to be well defined, you can choose to do half too on each, on the underbust level. You can choose to, remember we took half on the waistline. You can come to the underbust too and you take half to the left and half to the right. It depends on how much you want to take in. So I can do half here and half here. Then I'm going to connect it. So to connect it, you have to do from the 1 inch point, you connect it first to the underbust. You come here too. That is because an underbust corset in most cases is meant to aid in lifting the bust. So then you come here, Then you connect it straight down all the way. You come to the other side. So this just what this does is it just help you to take more. If we had done the same angle we did here at this point, it would have taken lesser at the underbust point. Now once we do that, remember the normal dart length. That is what you do, because it is going to be underbust, which means that at the end of the day, this underbust corset will get to the hip level. So you can just go ahead and go down by, let's say you can do 5 inches. That's okay. Then you take your dart to that point as well. So now this is what we have now. So now once we have that, we are not yet done with the front. I'm just going to go ahead and shape it. Let's go ahead and shape this now. So to shape it at this point, looking at the distance from here to here, if the distance from this armpit line to the bust line is no more than 1.5, what I have here now is 1 inch. So at this angle here where the both lines meet, you just come out by half. Then you get your midpoint here, which is 3 3/4. Then at that point also you come in by half inch. The half inch is standard. The half inch here is standard. This one varies. At times it is half, at times it is 1 inch. So then you shape your point. You shape this to this. If you can't use your free hand, you can use your French curve, but it is advisable to learn how to make use of your free hand. So now I can say we are done with the back with the front, because we just need some small things to do for the underbust corset. Now let's move ahead to the back now. Now for the back, this is what you do for the back. I'm going to measure the widest measurement here, which is my 9 inches. I don't need zip allowance at the back, so I'm just going to come here and measure the same 9. So you can just extend this place and you can decide to leave it. I'm just going to measure my line. Then automatically from here to here, I'm going to have 18. So I'm going to measure it now. I'll measure the same 18 here and I'll mark the point. And I'm just going to go ahead and connect it all the way down. So now we want to draft the back as well. Let's go ahead and do that. So if you are making a top with this, go ahead, make sure you consider your zipper allowance and put it, but because this is not going to be a top, it is going to be an underbust corset, so I don't need the zipper allowance. So I'm just going to go ahead and work with my back. So this is my CB and this is going to be my side B. I want the sides to face each other. There's a reason for that, okay? So now let's go ahead. So from the CB, this is the C. For the back, you just start with the same thing, the 7.5. That is the back divided by 2 plus half. You come down by 1 inch. Don't forget the neck point, which is 2.5. Then you connect this. Once you do that, this is the armpit point. We brought it down. So whatever I have from my CB to this point, which is 7.5, I'm also going to measure it. Then I'll bring it up here. So once we do so, the next thing is going to be, we have the waistline, we have the top line, everything is here already. So the next thing is going to be to place the measurement. The bust circumference is 8.5. I'm going to mark it. The waist is 6.5. I'm going to mark it, and the hip is 9 inches, and I'm going to mark it, which is here. Once we do so, the next thing will be to connect each point. So if you have a pointy waistline, don't forget to always blend it. Always blend it. So once we are done, the next thing is to shape the armpit. Now, at this point, you don't need to come in by half inch, because this is the back. Just get the midpoint, which is 3 3/4. Just mark it this way. Then you come out here by half. So Once you do so, go ahead. That's it. You don't need to come in by half. If you must shape this place at all, 1/4 is okay, as little as this, just minimal. It doesn't need to be as much as this. You don't need it for the back. So now that's that. Now the next thing we want to do is to get the that point. Now the same 3.5 we use for the front, you mark it here. Note that at this point you don't need underbust or whatever. Just mark the 3.5. Now, at this point, our that length for the back is always 1 inch below. So 1 inch below the armpit line or the bust line. You know that this is the bust line, but this one is the true bust line when you are working with bustier. So now, this from here to here now is 7.5, which means is if I'm adding 1 inch to it, which is 8.5. So I'm just going to come down by 8.5. Then I'm going to slightly extend that point. And once I do so, at that point I'll mark my 3.5. And once I do so, I'll connect it all the way from here to here, then from here to here. Now the same thing we did for the front to get the shoulder point, the midpoint on the shoulder, we do it again. Remember, it is 5 1/4 divided by 2. We have 258. Then we go ahead and connect that 1 inch point now up to this point. Now, once we do so, the next thing is to place our dart. Remember, the normal dart for back is always half here, half to the left, half to the right. Then the dart length too, you can stop at 5 inches. Okay, then the dart length, you can stop here, or you can just come down half inch, just a little bit. Now, once you do so, just go ahead and connect it. So, and this is what we have. So we go ahead to the shoulder point now. Now for the back, regardless of what you do, the total that intake here must not be more than half inch. At the front, you can take up to 2 inches here, but for the back, it must not be, regardless of the body size, regardless of the design or whatsoever, it must not be more than half inch, which means we are taking quarter to the left and quarter to the right. Then the length of the dart must not get to here, unlike this point. No, the length of the dart should be 3 to 3.5 inches, 3 to 3.5 inches at most. So we just go ahead. Let's stick to 3.5. Then once we do so, you go ahead and connect from here now. So, and that's it. So now, the next thing we are going to be doing in the next video is to create more panels, because at this junction now we have just 1 2 here and 1 2 here. So we can go ahead and create more panels and take in more that as some strategic points. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.